Today would be preferable.
We're working. We're in the lab, and we're gonna make sure this happens as soon as possible.
Welcome to an episode of the Sports Genes Into the Lab podcast, where sports analysts and experts dissect the latest news from the NBA and NFL, giving you a unique view on some of the hottest topics around your favorite teams. From the fresh field smells of the NFL to the hardwood courts of the NBA, and possibly your comfy couch for your fantasy football team. Let's see what kind of news the lab is working with today. Here's your host from the Sports Analytics headquarters in San Antonio, Texas, Ernest Silva.
Welcome back. ITL is back for Season 5, Episode 1. I am joined by the sports scientists here at the Sports Analytics headquarters. More importantly, the home studio of ITL now in San Antonio, Texas, powered by Blue Collar Media Group, or BCMG. It's been a while, guys. It's been a while. We got a brand new setup. You can see from the lights behind me. Got the producer sitting right next to me. Londo in the room. You can see his hand coming out. And, of course, we got the gentleman right in front of you. Before we do the rundown, though, let's plug our sponsors at the bottom. There it is. Banner is set. Season 5. We are back. I'm excited. And, of course, the hashtag Better Together. Last season's motto. We have a new one. It's called hashtag Level Up. Hashtag Level Up. Our show is going to the next level. Hashtag Level Up. Very excited for BCMG and very excited again. I'm your host, Ernest Silva. This will be the intro for our podcast. We'll be releasing 3 podcasts a week now. 3 podcasts a week. So you'll be hearing tonight's episode broken up into 3 episodes, keeping our content relevant. And guess what, guys? ITL is hitting TikTok. So we will be on TikTok starting this season with clips. Mark being a regular, clipping our things. So we'll try to give you good content. If not, it's just going to be boring old TikTok. But before we get carried away too much into all this, let's talk about who's on the panel today. That's right, all the way in Canada itself. That's right, Andrew Consutton. What's going on, man?
Your Season 4 champ and ITL's Pick'em is back. How the hell we doing? I'm running it back. We're winning another championship. Man, I missed you guys. I got to admit it. It's been a very busy summer. It's been a crazy last few months. I'm ready to talk sports because I'm really good at it. So let's do it.
Andrew, we talked about it before we got on the show, but you're like half of you now on this weight loss journey. I just want to say, buddy, you look fantastic.
Thanks, man. I really, really appreciate it. Yeah, started a weight loss journey about 3 years ago. Down 110 pounds as of now. So it's showing. My face is, getting a little thinner. And my 3XL jersey that I bought about 2 months ago is about a size and a half too big. So.
Well, just because we're coming back from the summer, we hadn't seen anybody. I'm going to put you on the spot. What'd you do this summer, my man?
Honestly, dude, it's been crazy. I have now played an equivalent of, I think it was 82 the last time I counted, 82 slow pitch games so far this summer. So that's taken up most of my nights, working, going to the gym, just trying to stay busy, man. Summer, we only get 3 months of out here in Saskatchewan, so you try to tend to do as much as you possibly can while the weather's beautiful. Gone to the lake a couple times, went for a nice little swim a couple times. I'm a brand new uncle as of this summer too, so I've been spending a lot of time with my niece, Catherine. She's just been an absolutely amazing part of my family, and I've just been so blessed to, again, have such great people in my life in the last little while, and now I'm back with the people that I love talking a little sports with, so let's get into it, fellas.
Absolutely. You're not the only one that's hanging out around here. That's right. Just Luke is in for the debut episode of Season 5. What's up, Just Luke?
Oh, it makes me feel so good to be back and talking with you guys. I've been texting Ernest. You can ask him, hey, when are we starting? Hey, what do you need? Hey, is there anything I can do to help prep? I've been texting Ernest nonstop trying to getting the itch, ready to talk sports and just be back with you guys to talk. I'm so excited for this season.
Yeah, Luke kept on bothering me by saying, hey, man, when are we coming back? And I would just be like, are you going to be there for the first episode? And he'd be like,
give me a hell
Absolutely.
That's right. Super exciting stuff. Just Luke, glad you're back with us. Glad we're back, talking sports. Now, again, our round one segment is going to be NBA based. So if you have those football ears turned on or fantasy football ears turned on, you can probably turn off for a bit. We're going to talk a little bit about some topics going around the NBA. That's where Luke's going to go fingers in the ears to start things off here. I may be just ranting. Kenny usually comes on. Before I go on, though, I just want to introduce Orlando Mendoza, the producer. He's been the producer now for a couple of years, but he is also in studio on the mic. Orlando, why don't you say hi to everybody?
What's up, guys? How y'all doing?
You might recognize his voice. He is also going to be the voice of one of our new segments that we're going to talk about here in just a second. As season 5 is going to be really, really fun. So season 5 is not only going to be just the sports scientist doing Pick'em all over again, which welcome back Davis Cordova to the show. He'll be coming back on Pick'em this season. Davis making his debut in September. But we have brand new segments. Yeah, Davis is coming back. You would have never guessed it. But yeah, we have brand new segments. So we're going to welcome on a couple of regulars in our chat. So Chris Borak or Pless Walker, who usually is commenting and telling us how bad we are, and Reginald Huggins are going to be joining the show as the old guys. And they're going to be joining a debate segment here on ITL where they're going to take some of the heated debates, probably starting with, is James Harden one of the best ISO players of all time, and then going from there. And they're going to go back and forth, just basically talking shit to each other the entire time. So I'm absolutely encouraging that segment. Mark is working on the intro video, so excited to bring that on. We also are going to have a Vegas correspondent coming onto the show. That's right, Frank Labuda. Well, he's going to start his segment called Let's Be Frank, and he's going to talk about bets and the different sports books in Vegas. And he'll be starting his journey in August with us as he goes and makes his first bets of the season. Another Cowboys fan, so welcome to the team, Frank. We're excited to have you. And then, of course, our final segment, which I hinted in an earlier post this week, is Talk It to Death. That is going to be our resident skeleton in the room, or the skeleton in the closet, whatever we want to call it. He has now got the podium. He will be talking about all the hottest takes and topics that are just being talked about way too much by national media correspondents and just killing all of them with the final take. And we have a surprise voice for that skeleton later on. And he's not making his debut today, but he'll probably be making his debut in the next episode. And so we'll be prepping for that. So a lot of great stuff happening for ITL in season 5. Of course, you can follow us on all of our platforms, including and starting in September, TikTok. We are finally going to TikTok. I said it was going to happen by year 5. We're here. I'm wrapping stuff up personally. We are going to be there. TikTok. Mark is clipping after. We're going to be practicing. He's going to be clipping some stuff. Guys, we're going to be TikTok. I don't know if we're going to be TikTok famous, but it's going to happen. So be ready. It's coming.
Oh, Lord.
All right. I see Tyler's in the chat. What's going on, Tyler? I see you in there. What's up, my man? Thanks for watching. We're back. I thought we were going to start off with 0 people watching since, we've been on hiatus for a bit, but 5 to 7 at a time is not too bad. We're going to go with that. If you're listening to this, we're about to start the NBA news rocking headlines. So we're going to go through some of the latest headlines around the NBA, and I'll start this off with kind of a speed round. So if you're not into the NBA, you can probably just turn it off. But Jaylen Brown with the Boston Celtics signs a supermax $304 million extension over the course of 5 years. If you want to know how big of an impact that is, the Celtics are basically banking that the TV deal is going to up that salary cap quite a bit because he makes $69 million in the final year, which if you take that percentage-wise, it's half the salary for this year, which is nuts. So Jaylen Brown, who can't dribble left, will be making $304 million on that extension. And we move on. Kristaps Porzingis, big news in the offseason. Kristaps Porzingis now joins the Celtics in a trade that came from the Washington Wizards. Add that to the Celtics. Now the Boston Celtics seem to be in prime contention, probably a piece away from saying they're the favorites. Steve probably say they're the favorites no matter what, but we'll just say right now Boston's up there and probably the top 2 with Milwaukee. Kyrie Irving returns back to Dallas on a bit of a deal that allowed Seth Curry and Grant Williams from Boston to come back over to Dallas. And so Dallas stocks up, ready to lead Luka and Kyrie into the promised land. 2-year window is what we're giving that before Luka decides to move on if they don't win one. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. Chris Paul traded in the offseason. He was traded a couple times. He was traded from Phoenix to Washington and then Washington to Golden State. Golden State Warriors get Draymond to come back, and now they got the old guy who hates them on their team too. It'll be interesting. He does not want to come off the bench, but Golden State wants him to come off the bench. So already drama starting there. We'll see what happens in that locker room. Russell Westbrook returns to the Clippers on like a $2 million deal, and KJ Martin from the Rockets gets traded there. Clippers run it back basically, and so we'll see what happens in LA. The Lakers reloaded. Austin Reeves signs a very team-friendly deal at 4 years, $53 million. Jackson Hayes, Cam Reddish, and Gabe Vincent all joined the Lakers, and the Lakers seem to be the overwhelming talented favorite in the West, aside from the already existing champs in the Denver Nuggets. Last but not least, Derrick Rose heads to Memphis, and Marcus Smart gets traded to Memphis from Boston in a shocking move that allows Memphis to revamp and acquire those pieces to help with the loss of Dylan Brooks and John Morant in the beginning of the season. So, guys, lots happening in the NBA. I know it's been a while. I just kind of ran through those because we're going to talk about some certain NBA headlines right now. But any of those stick out to you guys here? I know you guys are not the big NBA buffs, but any big ones, shockers to you?
It's not that I'm not a buff. I've just lost all kind of like, I don't know. The game to me doesn't seem what it used to be. There's no excitement. Maybe that's just because my team sucks so bad now and we're just pretty average. After winning a championship, you go from a super duper high to like this year losing FVV and now, Siakam's in trade talks and all this other stuff. But hey, the one team that needed to revamp it and needed to make the right criteria to make that next step was the Boston Celtics. They did that. They did everything they possibly could to be the best number one team in the East. The East is a juggernaut. It is a crazy division with so many skilled teams. I mean, we talked about it probably the last episode of ITL. The Raptors shouldn't even have been in the playoffs, but even at 500, at 43 and 42, they made their way into it. So the Celtics learned last year, hey, we need to be way better physically. We need to have better ball handlers. I think the loss of Marcus Smart is going to be it's going to be a more drastic loss than people are making out to be. Marcus Smart's a very good on-ball defender. And I think he was a very vital part to that team. And losing that might be big. But, hey, they did the right things. They got their big man in Porzingis, like you have mentioned. And I think he's a little bit of an upgrade over Al Horford. So the biggest thing is question mark with Porzingis. How healthy does he stay? Every person that you listed on there that signed, how healthy do they stay? Chris Paul, how healthy does he stay? He's 39 years old. You think about Draymond Green. He doesn't want to come off the bench. Well, I mean, they gave him $25 million a year. That doesn't really scream bench material. So I get his side of it, but he's also 34 years old. You start to see all these names, but you forget how old they are. Derrick Rose. I mean, John Morant being a goddamn idiot. I mean, that's the perfect situation for Derrick Rose to prove that, hey, I know I'm old, but I can still bring something to this team. Memphis was a playoff team last year, and now with him and Smart back there, I think it makes the John Morant loss a little easier. But, all of these guys are, we're in that swing of age now, which is crazy. Our favorite players are now in their, mid-30s, late 30s, almost 40. It's crazy the names that we're moving. But, yeah, I agree with you also with one other thing. The Dallas Mavericks window, 2 years, that's it. If they don't, I agree with you 100%. Luka is going to bounce.
Yeah, we're talking NBA news, rocking headlines on the ITL podcast. I completely agree. I think that a lot of the pieces move have injury concerns. The big one for me definitely were the Mavericks. I think the Mavericks got better, and I think that was their window is 2 years, and then that's it. And then Luka ass out. We're going to talk a little bit about Joel Embiid in the next topic, but I think the Sixers have no window. I think that's over, and we're gonna talk a little bit about that and where James Harden ends up. But my free fall team for 2023 is going to be a shocker because all the news outlets are saying they're probably going to contend this year. I think Memphis falls. I don't think they come back and perform at the same level. I think Desmond Bane's a great player. I think JJJ is a fantastic player as well, Jaren Jackson Jr. But Ja not playing the beginning and then taking time to come back. Derrick Rose is a filler. Marcus Smart's great. I think he brings that grit. I think that's the one piece I'm talking about for Boston that they're missing is that defensive elite guard. Now that they have Porzingis to help with Horford, like it was like a bait and switch. Like we need somebody else. And so for me, I think Memphis falls back a bit. And then we're going to talk Houston Rockets basketball in a bit and talk about what we're going to go there. But let's talk about the next piece here. And for me, it's James Harden, right? So James Harden, a lot of talk in the local media and a lot of talk out of Philly and especially Houston, because it was rumored for the majority of this summer that Harden was coming back to Houston. And I think there's a lot of merit to that. We listen to a lot of local analysts. We listen to a lot of national analysts talking about what the plan was. And I think Harden really did want to come back to Houston. I think the goal was to let Houston kind of reset after the whole debacle happened and Daryl Morey was gone and just a whole reset. And he didn't want Steven Silas to be hired. We're not going to go down the road again. But James Harden left. He thought he was coming back. It didn't work out. And now he's kind of left out in the wind. He's requested a trade to the Los Angeles Clippers because he wants to reunite with Russell Westbrook. They have some pieces that Philly wants. But the big piece that people talk about is if James Harden is the same guy. Like, is he an elite all-star level talent? And I personally was not a fan of how he left Houston. So I am not the biggest James Harden fan. Okay. James Harden, though, does still have that it factor. And I wanted to kind of talk about what that means, the it factor. It means that you can rely on the guy without the star power. So my counter argument to everybody saying James Harden's not the same guy is this. James Harden, without Joel Embiid, went 5-2 last season. He averaged 20 points per game, 9 assists a game, 6 rebounds a game, shot 41% efficient field goal percentage, was a +2 in differential. Great numbers, right? You say without KD and Kyrie, he also was averaging high minutes, 25 points a game, 10 assists a game, 8 rebounds a game, 44% field goal percentage, a 1 differential. He was a fantastic player. He's still doing this outside of Houston. So when you talk about what he brings to the table, can he lead a team by himself? The answer is still at a very mid-level area. He can lead a team, right? He's not a 1A. We've seen that James Harden's not a 1A because he can't get it done in the playoffs. He is consistently lacking in the playoffs. So if we're talking about what does James Harden bring to your team, he's still a 1B, 1C. Probably his best part is 1C if he's not on the ball, if you're not needing him to distribute and score as much. So to me, James Harden is still a guy that's worth it for the right team. And I think he makes a lot of sense to the Clippers. So I'm going to counter argue all those saying James Harden's just kind of a role player. He's not as good as he used to be. I think he's still an elite shot creator and an elite distributor in this league. He's still averaging what most top level talents would when he gets the chance and opportunity to. Give him the stars, he's just like any other team would be with 3 or 4 stars. His numbers go down, and you can talk about that all day. But your thoughts, guys, on James Harden? Do you guys have any other thoughts on the James Harden rumors and where he wants to go and just him in general?
I mean, realistically, with
Yeah,
James Harden, you know what you're getting. You got a guy who we talked about it. Is my stuff working? I don't know.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I'm good. I'm okay. Sweet. Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing with James Harden is his ability to ISO ball, right? We talked about it right off the get-go. Listen, James Harden still puts up 20 points a game. That's very good. It's very good production out of a guy that you want. You know, whether it be starter minutes coming as 6th guy, doesn't matter. I still think Houston is probably still on him somewhere. You know, they probably want to make something work. Having some veteran leadership with those rookies would probably be a great idea for them. But at the same time, I do think that he does go back to the Clippers because the one thing that James Harden hasn't done has won an NBA title, right? That's the one thing that he has to do in his career. That's the one-off. And the Clippers have the roster to do so. Kawhi will be back next year.
I don't know if that's important to him. I don't know if that's important to him anymore. You know, like he could just stay in Philly.
Yeah, but you can't kid yourself. The championships aren't the reason why guys at their age are going to these kind of teams, right?
Yeah, like what's he looking for?
Money. I think it was just money at that
Yeah.
point. I don't know if there was like a huge, like if he wanted to win a championship, probably would have tried harder to make Brooklyn work. Probably would stay in Philly another couple of years.
Right.
Philly's not a bad team. Like they could
No.
contend in the East.
For sure.
I don't
Philly
know
is a
if
great
anybody
team.
can challenge that in the comments, but I'm pretty sure that they would contend in the East. I don't know. They're definitely a top 3-4 team
5.
at worst.
I'm saying
4.
5.
What team are you putting ahead of them besides Milwaukee, Boston, and I'm missing one? Milwaukee, Boston, and who?
Brooklyn?
No, they suck.
I mean, does Brooklyn still contend?
No, they don't. They're going to
Not
bottom.
this year.
I think that's my question, right? Is why? Who are you putting in front of Philly? Like they gave
Miami, if
Boston
they
a
get
run.
Dame. Miami.
Sorry,
if they get
Miami.
Dame.
That's what I was forgetting. Miami.
Especially
Yeah,
if they
and
get
Damian
Dame.
Lillard's a whole nother. Yeah, especially if they get Dame. They lost Gabe Vincent. They lost Max Strus. Tyler Hero will probably be gone if Dame came. So, and then what else do you lose in that? Your future probably. So Miami would have those 3 guys, and then what else would be the question at that point? And is that team as good? But the star power is there, right? We're going to talk about Phoenix next, and it's the very same conversation. And so when you think about where James Harden lands, right? If he goes to LA keeps Kawhi, Paul George, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden, right? That's your big 4. And then everybody else on that team. Terrence Mann would go back to Philly. That's a rumor. And then draft picks of some sorts. But like if you're LA, do you really need James Harden? And if it's not LA, do you have anywhere else to go? I think you just run it back in Philly. And I think that's the situation that Harden is in, is nobody else needs him and wants him. But the stigma of he's not as good or he's not that good to run a playoff team, I think is wrong. I think he's still an elite level point guard. When you give him the ball, he's a distributor at a high level. And when he's by himself, he shows he's effective and he scores the ball. And there were a couple of games in that Boston Philly series where he did score astronomically. And then there were a couple of games where he just disappears. That's why he's 1B or 1C. He's just not a 1A guy. That's just not James Harden. That's just my thought process on it. But I'm sticking to it.
Why did he want to trade? Why is he demanding that?
There was a fallout. So again, I don't call myself an insider. I just call myself an active enthusiast. So, Daryl Morey and the franchise promised him to extend his contract if he took a pay cut last season, helped Joel Embiid get the MVP, played his role. Maybe they win a ship. And then when it came to offseason, they were like, we're not sure if we want to continue with you. So that was a slight. So he opted in to get the trade, but he was also thinking about opting out to go to Houston. And then when Houston hired Ime Udoka, which we'll talk about the Rockets in a bit, they decided to pivot from Harden and go with Fred VanVleet. It's a whole nother conversation. So Harden's kind of left hanging out to dry there. I think for sure he was all intended to come back home. But we've mentioned it a couple of times, and again, we're talking NBA hoops on the Into the Lab podcast here with your host Ernest Silva. We are going to go right into the Phoenix Suns. That's right, Point Beal. So Bradley Beal will be asked to play the point guard position, where they're going to run Beal, Booker, KD, Ayton, and probably Josh Okogie in that 5-man lineup, and then Eric Gordon will lead that second unit with players like Bol Bol and Damian Lee and Bates Diop. But guys. Yeah. So at this point, star power wise, the Suns I think are the team to beat in the West. But for you guys, you heard about the trade. Bro. Oh, you're going to claim their NBA?
Oh, 1,000%.
Oh, okay. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. They're not deep, right? Like they've got 6 probably proven great players, and then you just run everything back. But I guess that's how the Heat were constructed too, right?
120 and then put in your bench.
Yeah, exactly. I guess the question I really have is, do we think that Bradley Beal can run the point guard position for a whole season and postseason? Like, that's not his typical. You're basically saying, hey, do what James Harden did, right? Like, go from shooting guard to point guard and lead the unit. And so can he do that is the question I guess I ultimately have. What's
effectively with that roster and with that talent, yes, he can. And because the only reason why is out here in Canada, we get a lot of Eastern Conference games. Obviously, a lot of Raptors, a lot of, a lot of Washington Wizards game. And I'm going to tell you this right now. After John Wall became a bum, or I guess a shell of him for his former self, and they could never rely on him, Bradley Beal stepped up. He ran the offense. Bradley Beal is underrated as a ball handler, as a possession guy. He's going to run that offense effectively because now you can just let Books shoot. The biggest thing with Phoenix is that Books doesn't have to run the offense anymore. He can just be that prolific three-point mid-range shooter that he is very, very good at. And then what does that free the floor with? Oh, yeah, the Slim Reaper at 7 feet tall who's a walking bucket. It's insane how good this team is. Oh, Tarantula. And then let's not factor in they have one of the best bigs in the game in DeAndre Ayton. And so this team, in all intents and purposes, like I'm saying right now, this team should win 60 games this year. This team should make it to the NBA Finals. And if they don't, and they went all the way in like this, it might be the biggest bust in the last 10 years.
But let me pump the brakes a tad bit on a couple of things. DeAndre Ayton's not one of the best bigs. I think he's the highest paid, one of the highest paid bigs. He's a good big. He's a good big. Like he's top 15.
He's great big.
I wouldn't say average. I say he's on the higher end, but he's not somebody I wanted on the Rockets, like he's not somebody I'm coveting, to come over. But okay, so let pump the brakes on that. First off, Andrew, where did Kevin Durant go to college? Do you know?
I've completely drawn a blank. Texas, yeah.
University of Texas. So you're absolutely right. He's a phenomenal player. Phenomenal player. I think been following him his whole career. So take it easy, just Luke. So I'll digress. So going back to the point Beal, right? There was an article that came out a few years back when I say a few years, but it was like half a year ago, where he had to run point guard for about 10 games when John Wall got hurt, and he averaged 29.5 points per game, 10 assists, 5 rebounds. The offensive rating for the Wizards at the time was 113 points, and that was with players like KCP, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and Spencer Dinwiddie, and it was not like a talented team. So in the small sample size we have where he does it, he's actually really good, right? I think going long-term, the decision-making, what the window is for this team, because this is another 2-year window team, right? This is another 2-year window team, unless that cap goes up, right? Because they're at the second apron. So we'll have to see what the Phoenix Suns do. To me, I'm pessimistic about it. I think there's going to be some needs. I think they're going to need a true point guard at one point. I think players like DJ Augustine out there may end up finding their way on this team and running point. And then you see a shift where Kobe goes to the second unit, something like that. Yeah. And you see Booker playing the 3 a little bit more. They play a little bit smaller at the top. So we'll have to see what happens. For me, I think Point Beal is going to be somewhat of a peak in the beginning of the year, and then teams will adjust, and those harder decisions of playing the point guard position is going to be a little bit tougher for him. But we'll move on. We'll move on to one of my favorite topics of all time on this show. That's right, the Houston Rockets. Who can blame me? That's the team to talk about. They were all the craze this offseason. If you haven't been familiar with what the Rockets have been doing, you've been living under a rock. The Rockets have been actively moving the needle. They hired head coach Ime Udoka, who brought his whole slew of characters with them. Ben Sullivan joins them. They got second place in the summer league. They drafted a stud in Amen Thompson, as well as Cam Whitmore, your summer league MVP. The Houston Rockets have been making moves. So I got to ask you guys, Houston Rockets, they signed Fred VanVleet. It's a 3-year deal. That 3-year deal allowed them to bring him in. The third year is a team option. So they aren't exactly, breaking the bank. They did have to pay him $42 million a year the first 2 years. Who else are you going to pay that money to, though? Honestly, right? And then you end up going with Dylan Brooks, bringing Dylan Brooks. That was an Ime Udoka guy through and through. He ended up being the defensive specialist. They're going to work on his shooting. That's why he hired Ben Sullivan to help that. And then you got Cam Whitmore, the summer league MVP. You brought in Jacques Landale, who's going to help as a backup big. I think we brought in a Holiday brother in. And Jalen Green's always been on the team. But yeah, right. So the team is stacked with talent. The Rockets are going to be fun to watch this year. For me, bunch of needles moved. They're a 22-win team. I'm going to make a bold prediction already on season 5, episode 1. I'm going to tell you right now that the Houston Rockets will win 38 plus games this year and be a play-in team. And I think they make a large jump. They're going to be the Memphis this year. That makes a large jump. Any challenges on that one, guys?
You know what? It's crazy to think. I literally was going to say 500 ball would be perfect for the Houston Rockets this year. If they can
I wish I was that confident.
if they can somehow be 500, it's crazy to think, especially with the play-in round, they might actually be able to get there. Like, they're one of those teams that have a lot of hidden gems. Dylan Brooks can figure out his shot. That might be one of the best pickups of the summer because, honestly, his defense is top 10 when it comes to guards in the league. He's that damn good on D. But his shooting is horrendous. So I'm really hoping they can figure that out for him. Jalen Green, next step, next level. This kid's going to be a stud again this year. I'm excited to see his development this year. But I have to laugh. As a Raptors fan, I have to laugh. I commend you going out and getting FVV. I think he's a great pickup for a team that you have. He doesn't fit our mold or our criteria anymore. It is way too much money. But you have the cap. It's just way too much money.
We do. But, I mean, again, you get a championship player who brings a pedigree, who's a veteran. We don't have any.
The bench in the playoffs, for the record.
I know, but we had a bunch of kids that had never played in the playoffs. Like, we needed somebody who was going to do that, right? He came in next day working out with Jalen Green in LA, right? Like, that's what you want. You want that pedigree of player. And guys like playing with him. And when it comes to efficiency ratings and stats, he's a top 15 player.
When I say it, man, and it's not to be bitter, like a bitter ex-girlfriend just left my team, but it's the aspect of I know he didn't fit the criteria that we were trying to run anymore. Obviously, he was a Nick Nurse guy. Once Nick Nurse got fired, the writing was on the wall for Fred VanVleet.
Yeah.
And that's exactly kind of how the dominoes fell in place for him to land in Houston, where he's going to be, the guy. Let's face it, he will be the centerpiece of that offense this year. My only concern with him has always been his decision-making process. Even when he was with us, he did have a lot of big chance opportunities where he had the time to be the limelight guy, to be the superstar because Siakam was hurt or, we just couldn't, Scotty Barnes went down for, half a year last year and he had the opportunity to really be that guy, but it fell flat for me. It just Fred VanVleet choked when he needed to be the big player. But this situation where he can be in Houston, where it's a team that only won 22 games last year, he's got the opportunity to really say, hey, look, if I get the chance to run this offense and we go 500, we're doing it. We're doing something right.
That's 20 more wins. Like, think about that. That would be mind-boggling. And if you're a Rockets fan, like, you're ecstatic, right? You're like, we got all these vets now. Jeff Green, another big signing. I forgot about Uncle Jeff. Jeff is back, right?
Jeff.
So like, you have all these vets coming in. You have a culture now. You have a defensive 3-and-D is back in Houston. And the conspiracy theorists as of late, because Ime was at Joel Embiid's wedding, right, is like, oh, down the line, that's the goal, right? Like, Fred's going to end up going that way, and then Amen's going to evolve into that starting point guard, and Embiid will come back, and like all the conspiracy to it. But right now, I think this team has constructed as a play-in team at least. I think they do an 18-win, 16-win jump. I think they're a play-in team. You were going to say 42-42. I love that. I would be, or 41-41. Maybe, that I would love that. I would love that. Be phenomenal. Now we'll move on to our rivals there in the Southwest Division. That's right, the San Antonio Spurs. Victor Wembanyama made his debut. It was not fantastic in his debut game, but he did have a second game that was decent. He said he got caught up to the speed there. But let's talk about their lineup, right? Point guard, they brought back Trey Jones. They have Devin Vassell on there. Keldon Johnson is now, or Vassell. Now Keldon Johnson is their 3. That's probably their best player before Wembanyama came. Jeremy Sochan, arguably one of the most fun players that the Spurs have. And then, of course, Wemby himself. Their bench is full of vets. They have Campaign, Reggie Bullock, Devontae Graham on there, C.D. Osman. So when I look at the Spurs, I think they make a small jump too. I just don't think it's as great of a jump. They didn't really bring in any big names either. And what are your impressions, Andrew, on Wemby's first take in the NBA, especially in Summer League? Were you impressed, or are you worried about him? Like, what's your thoughts on Wemby?
First game, he looked like an absolute buster. I think we can all agree it was horrendous. It was so bad. He was so bad because there was so much advertisement, so much pump up to this kid, and we got that 5 turnovers, 10 points, like 2 for 13 shooting. I was like, oh, Jesus. And so, anyways, fast forward, he did have a decent rest of summer league until he got shut down. My biggest issue with him is that I think. Sorry, am I glitching?
No, you're good.
I feel like I'm glitching.
Brought to you by Glitch.
Yeah, I just feel like
Energy.
my biggest
Glitching.
thing with him at the moment is that he has to pick up weight to his size. He is a very tall man. He looks like he weighs 68 pounds. It scares the shit out of me. For health purposes, I don't want him to be injured. He was already shut down in the summer league because of that situation. But I'm not going to rule him out of bust. Not going to rule him out of bust yet. Way too goddamn early. Let's see what he does. I hope he picks up a little muscle, puts up a little weight to him, and becomes a great player, because San Antonio might hit the lottery with this kid.
Joining us now on the ITL podcast is none other than himself, the co-host for season 5. That's right, Kenny Cotterell. Kenny Cotterell, what's going on, my man?
I mean, like, we're asking for guys' opinions on Wemby, like you guys have seen him play in person or something. Oh, wait, that was me that saw him
Yes,
play
that's
in
right,
Summer
Kenny.
League.
You did see him in person.
It's almost like I've watched this guy play live or something, and he's fine. He's actually better than fine. He's pretty goddamn fantastic. And
I think you were more blessed to see the Amen Scoot show than the Wemby show, but we'll talk about that another later time.
Well, I didn't even get to see that. Scoot didn't play. Scoot was out hurt when I was there. No, I mean,
that sucks.
Wemby is completely fine. They were never going to play him all of Summer League. They do this with a lot of top picks. They play a game or two just because the NBA wants them to, and then they shut him down. Yeah, he's going to be a little thin for his size for his first year, but he doesn't have to put on crazy weight. They said the same thing about KD. KD added maybe 10 pounds since his rookie year, 15 at most. And he's just wiry, strong. That's how Wemby's going to be. So the Spurs are fine. They got their top guy. I mean, it's not as if they've been handed David Robinson or Tim Duncan or anyone in their lifetime. So they completely deserve to get Wemby.
Right. Sure. That's what everybody's saying, is that they deserved it. Thanks, Kenny, for that awesome analysis. I do think that the Spurs lucked into Wemby. I think the league wanted him to go to San Antonio. I can't say there's any sort of conspiracy that it was rigged.
It's almost like the league wanted LeBron go to Cleveland or something.
It's true.
Crazy.
It's true. But I think the Spurs will be fine. I think it's a project nonetheless. A lot of analysts were saying that Wemby was going to come in, make the playoffs next year, contend within 2 or 3. Like, it had to be that way because of how hyped he was. I never thought that. I knew that was going to be a 3 to 5 year project for them, and that you start contending at that point. But it just showed, right? It showed, and as a fan, as a Spurs fan, you're like, oh, we're back. And no, not really. You got some time. You got some time.
Can we stop acting like one player in today's NBA can just get you to the playoffs, even in the West?
True.
Like, we just watched Shai Gilgeous-Alexander average over 30 a game, and they couldn't get into the play-in. So, are we saying that Wemby's going to do that his rookie year? Because that's probably what it would take for them to actually make the playoffs year 1. That's not to say that they don't have a bright future. Just in year 3, are they probably a playoff team with him? Yeah. But do they even want to win games this year? Or do you want to just... Yeah. You're probably not playing Wemby the whole year. If your season is down the tube at the 65th game, you're probably either shutting him down or you're putting him on a pretty serious minutes restriction. And that's completely fine. It's okay to suck in the league for a number of years, because then you actually get success because of it.
Golden State.
And I think from our Let's Be Frank segment, Frank Labuda, him and I were talking about this very topic, and I think the Spurs own the Raptors first round or 2, so they want you guys to be bad also.
Well, I mean, the Raptors are the definition of mid, and they know it, and they don't want to be. So
yeah. I mean, obviously, another great example is how Dame can't get over the hump by himself in Portland. Easy example how one player doesn't just move the needle for you. But I do like Wemby. I think Wemby's going to be fantastic. I don't know if he's going to be the best player out of this draft when it's all said and done. But he will definitely. Sorry, I am biased.
Wait! It's not Brandon Miller.
It's not
Dude,
Grady
he
Dick.
looked horrendous in Summer League. Even watching him live, he is a goddamn ghost out there. And he ghosted harder than when he fled that scene back in college. So,
Oh,
I mean,
whoa.
crazy.
Yikes. Is it too soon?
Nah, never soon.
What? 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 What?
Wow.
Too soon to point it out?
No,
I don't
it's
know.
not. That's perfect.
He also
Well,
didn't even
that's
flee
not-
the scene. I'm pretty sure he stuck around. So it might be.
I mean, he was smiling when they showed up. I'll tell you this. Kenny always likes to make an entrance right at the end of our NBA portion of today's episode. We appreciate you, Kenny. We're going to go right into the NFL right after this commercial break. And, of course, if you didn't know it, we're going to show it. The BCMG stream team is live and kicking. We may have taken the summer off here on ITL, but they haven't. Go check out their awesome content on Facebook and Twitch. Let me give you some of those handles right now. Let's take a break.
Yo, Jill going down the hill. Gonna go fetch Jack in his little pill. Jack feeling down and that's pretty bad. Let's go.
Oh! Yo! Clip that! Clip that headshot!
A pistol. What the? Okay, that didn't count.
Woo! Let's go, baby! Clutch it up! Yeah, I like it!
What? No way! Did that precision just kill me?
Let's go!
Nice, Papa!
Papa with the clutch kill at the end. Let's go.
Oh, I missed. That was bad.
Got him.
Nice.
Man, I'm going to go steal their shit.
That is definitely green.
You're dumb and it's orange.
We're both wrong, red.
I could get that solo if I tried it a couple times, but we'll come back to it.
I'm fucking dick right now. Holy shit. Like, I fucking suck right now.
Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah, that's the BCMG stream team. Check them out today. We are going to start our NFL segment. That is right. NFL headlines you need to know going into your fantasy football season, going into your favorite team season. Guys, we're going to start this one off, and I want you guys to say whether it moves the needle or not for you. And if it does move the needle for you, I'm going to give you the floor. So let's start this one off. I know who's going to take this first headline. Trayvon Diggs, 5-year extension, $97 million there. The incentives lead up to almost $108 million if he were to hit every single one. They're a little far-fetched, but anybody want to take this one and move the needle for Dallas?
Literally does nothing. Did anyone else appreciate the fact that Schefter called him a rising star, even though he just had a down year?
Yeah, he's a rising star, man.
He had a down year, but he's a rising star. I was like, yeah, he gets burned for 900 yards a game, but sure, totally.
I was worried because there's an incentive based on interception, and I was like, great. He's going to be going for every pick. Right? And then there's like an incentive for tackles, and I was like, yes, not every pick. We have a chance.
What division do we play in the AFC this year? Do you guys know?
We are lockstep with the top of my head AFC.
Do we get the West this year? We get the East.
Or the East. You're right. It's East.
So we get to
watch
Stephon Diggs burn him. We get to watch Tyreek Hill burn him. We get to watch Garrett Wilson burn him. Yeah, that's awesome. I can't wait.
It's gonna be great.
Jalen Waddle might even switch sides just to go and burn him.
You're forgetting one real big part of why Diggs will be good again this year. Stephen Gilmore, man.
Oh God, that's a name more than the production, I think.
It alleviates the pressure off of Diggs to do what he does best. Go get the goddamn ball. He's basically a wide receiver. Let's face it.
I'm excited about it. I think he'll learn. I think he'll learn from Gilmore quite a bit. But who's taking the one? Gilmore?
No.
No, it's Diggs.
He's just taking one side of the field and Diggs takes the other. Or are we playing a coverage where Diggs gets the one no matter what?
I just want to have blanket coverage behind Diggs. That's it. Just give me
Donovan
a safety
Wilson
over the
at
top.
an extreme high.
Just give me a safety over the top. That's all I need.
Jaron Curse,
Luke,
Donovan
Luke,
Wilson,
what do you
please.
think? You're a diehard Cowboys fan.
I feel like this is what Dan Quinn wanted. You
Are
can
we
actually
drive through right now?
we can just actually play cover 2 and just call it a day.
Number 7.
Luke, say, do you want a large fry with that?
You want a large fry with that?
You're every kid that worked at McDonald's in my high school. Congrats.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you, Luke. This is what Dan Quinn wants.
I feel like Luke is like the speedster from X-Men, and he's talking to us in his mic while he's running through his scene.
He honestly
Am I,
sounds
like,
like
lagging?
he should be playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 with that, and you should yell AC-130 above.
Okay.
No, and Luke, it's funny because you're actually super clear. It's just the room looks like you're zooming through it.
Oh, okay. Oh, I got you.
Yeah. But keep it
but
that
no,
way. Don't
I
try to
mean,
fix it.
If Dallas can figure out the linebacker situation, like middle linebacker situation, obviously Van Der Esch is not the answer, and they haven't had a guy since Jalen Smith was there, and the middle linebacker situation is what concerns me.
Are you telling me that I shouldn't have bought a Leighton Van Der Esch jersey 4 years ago, thinking that he was going to be our linebacker for the next decade?
He was good last year.
Because I didn't do that.
How's your neck? Is your neck all right?
What I actually do when I put the jersey on is I put 2 towels behind my neck, and then I feel like Leighton.
That makes more sense. I mean, honestly, this could be. I'm not comparing them to those Seattle defenses because those were just ridiculous. But this is the close he's been to replicating that defense in a long time. So they have a front seven that can get after the ball. It's just that's not the Legion of Boom in the background. But I mean, it's better than years past. I'll give you that.
I still think I would have loved to see Bobby Wagner come over to the Cowboys when he was a free agent and had the opportunity to do so. Because I think him with Van Der Esch would have been great. But again, I don't think Van Der Esch, for all intents and purposes, was all that bad last year, especially coming off the neck. I thought he was okay. Still had some speed, made tackles when he had to. I didn't think he was the reason we lost any games.
He had some lone wolf moments.
Yeah,
all
absolutely.
Right, let's move on to the neck person.
For the record,
shout out to John Mechie for getting cleared. The Texans wide receivers are intriguing to me. I just wanted to bring this up for you guys. The wide receiver room in Houston, Nico Collins, number 1 over there. Robert Woods, John Mechie, now that he's cleared. Noah Brown. We're all familiar with Noah Brown. Tank Dell. I actually love the wide receivers. You just sprinkle in some, what's his face? That's Dalton Schultz in there. And CJ Stroud has a cast, right? You know, he has a cast over there. Not to mention Damian Pierce and Devin Singletary.
It's not Emeka Ibuka. It's not Marvin Harrison Jr. It's not any of the Ohio State guys, all right? He does not have a cast around him, all right? His D1 team was last year.
You are really trying to dress up that McDonald's salad right there.
Yeah.
With a little bit
it gets the job done. It gets the job done in a drive-through.
Well, what job does it get done? I'm curious. What's the job that it gets done?
AFC South is not that stacked. We'll talk about that in a second.
4 wins.
4 wins? I'll take the over on that for putting that on the table.
They'll go 5. They'll go 5 and
4 is an upgrade.
Yeah, I have them going 5 and 12.
I mean, it helps that you get to play the Colts twice and the Titans twice.
Is Noah Brown wide receiver 2 on that team now I think about this?
Well, they don't actually have a wide receiver 1.
So I don't think they have a 1
Whoa. Nico Collins slander we will not tolerate on this show. Nico Collins is a decent wide receiver.
Oh, so you're still clinging on to that ship, hey?
I am
Nico
until it's
Collins.
proven otherwise.
The next Jamar.
I need a
Brandon
whole
Cox, I guess.
season of wide receiver 1 Nico Collins.
Thank
Please.
God, because we have the giraffe neck Davis Mills throwing the ball.
I'll tell you what.
Thank
if he's
God.
actually
No,
a
it's
wide
CJ
receiver
Stroud.
1, you better get Mark on a highlight video for him for the end of the season. We'll play it on ITL.
It's gonna be when he's like wide receiver 13 on the year or something, and I can just bring this clip back.
and they're gonna
It's
be
gonna
like,
be phenomenal.
It's gonna happen.
oh my
It's
God,
gonna
look at the touchdown.
it's gonna be really hard for him to pull 17 receptions for 340 yards. But I'm sure that if anyone can do it, it's Mark.
And they'll be like,
There's
oh,
gonna be one
Nico.
highlight in there.
It's gonna
The
be
one
one
highlight I'm gonna play
80-yard
over and
bomb.
over again.
Yeah. They'll
As
be
we
like,
talk
oh,
about how
Nico
we won
Collins.
week 5 fantasy.
It's
Yeah.
going to be an 80-yard bomb when they're down 28-7 to the Jags.
There it is. There it is.
Still lost 28-14.
Yeah.
Totally okay with that. Let's move on. Justin Herbert signs an extension, 5 years, $262.5 million. Guys, this move the needle for you for the Chargers. I'll start with you, Kenny.
That's a lot of money to pay for a guy that just blew a 24-0 lead in the playoffs and has done nothing in his career. But I mean, yeah, sure, totally. That moves the needle. Kellen Moore probably moves the needle more for that team than Justin Herbert does.
Yeah, congratulations.
I mean, seriously, we're anointing this guy like he's Peyton Manning and he's won multiple Super Bowls when he has literally won nothing in the league. And he's a good quarterback, but start proving it then. Like, we can't just be like, well, he's on the Chargers. So
I'm going to tell you one reason why he never will exceed his potential, because he's got fucking Brandon Staley as a head coach.
Well, he'll get canned, and then Kellen's going to be the head coach next year. That's what they're doing. So they just found his replacement a year early.
Staley's so fucking bad, dude.
Well, my thing is, it doesn't move the needle for them. It moves the needle for Joe Burrow. He is one happy guy right now.
Here was Joe Burrow's
He said, I want to hit that 200 mil guaranteed. Let's get it rolling, fellas. Let's get rolling.
Got to the Super Bowl?
Is it crazy to think that Burrow's going to get $300 million?
No.
No, not at all.
I think he's going to be 5 years, 300, and he'll be like at least 220, 240 guaranteed. Like, it's going to be something
I think straight 200. I think they go straight 200 guaranteed, 66% guaranteed.
Yeah.
Makes most sense.
Yep.
Yeah, and then he's the highest
move on
paid
to
QB by a while.
There's a bigger extension that happened today. Cole Kmet, right, got his extension for $50 million.
Okay. I actually had.
solidified.
Okay, I'm in Ontario right now for work, and I just had a discussion at the dinner table with a Bears fan about Cole Kmet, and I'm like, please tell me what option he is in your offense.
Jimmy
Because
Graham
it's
Light.
not one. It's not one because it's DJ Moore. Is it
He's not two.
Because
No, that's
that's
Chase
Darnell
Claypool.
Mooney.
Or
Could
Chase
Mooney.
Claypool.
So,
Yeah, it could be
what,
Mooney.
So what is he, your fourth?
Fourth, maybe
and
fifth.
You are paying your fourth option $12.5 million a year in an offense with a quarterback that only wants to run for 180 yards and throw for 150.
I'm telling you right now, he's Fields' best friend.
What did
So that's why
Dalton
he got
Schultz
paid.
sign for this summer? Does anyone know?
111.
Wow.
111 for
He
how
only
many
signed
years?
a 1 year contract. 1 year
Oh,
contract,
oh.
$11 million.
I thought that you said 111 million. I'm like, oh my god.
No,
what
no,
are
no,
the
no,
Texans
no. 1
doing?
year, $11 million.
Gotcha.
So is he better than Dalton Schultz?
Hell no.
Not even
No
close.
way, right?
Well,
And
And Schultz
he
is
got
making
a longer deal. Like, that agent is the best agent of all time. If you're telling me that $12.5 million for a tight end that most people don't even start in fantasy. And keep in mind, tight end is a wasteland after the top 4.
It's
and you
so
just paid him
bad,
$12.5 million a year. Oh, that's so awful.
Yeah, yikes.
I think they're.
I mean, they
banking
have
on
11.
DJ.
They have 11 tight ends on staff, right? So like they get their choice on who they want to play at tight end. But Cole Kmet's the number one
They
guy now.
finally cut Jimmy Graham.
He is. He's a saint now.
He's a saint now.
Listen, what it comes down to, you signed this extension, you gave almost 60 sacks up last year, guys. I mean, does Cole Kmet fix that issue? Absolutely not.
Unless he puts on weight.
Doesn't fix the issue on the offensive line. Does not.
No.
Next, Bob Lilly. All right, let's move on. Bryce Young. Bryce Young, the starter for Carolina Week 1. I just had to put it in there. It's breaking news. Any move the needle things for that one?
Who's their backup?
Yeah.
Because it's not Sam Darnold.
I want you to guess.
CJ Beathard?
No.
Is it PJ Walker still?
No.
PJ's still with the team, though.
The Red Rifle.
Third string.
Andy
Dalton, that's right.
Andy Dalton.
Well, I mean, come on. If you can't beat out Red Dalton at this juncture of his career, then you shouldn't have gone number 1 in the draft. So.
Yeah.
Right, sure.
Yeah.
Although he won't be able to see over him in team meetings, so I hope that he sits front row.
I mean, that's the most winnable division. I mean,
yeah, it is.
I actually disagree. I think that the most winnable division in football this year is the North.
And
that's actually our main topic today. That's our main topic today. So let's not steer into that conversation.
Sorry. Okay, cool.
That's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay.
totally.
I forgive you.
Well, you didn't get to do the rundown because I'm busy.
Team
working.
USA update.
You guys are awful.
Shocker.
Wow. Just a quick rundown for those ongoing topics. Jacobs still holding out, does not report to camp. Saquon jumped the picket line. He actually signed his franchise tag with an addendum.
1 year, $1 million.
You're a fucking traitor and a pussy.
Yeah, but
Luke has
that's
strong
what all the
words.
Giants fans are saying until Saquon punches in your only touchdown week 1, and then you praise him.
You had $10.1 million in a franchise tag, so you signed a 1 year for 11. Why?
Well, it's because I had to spend all that money on Daniel Jones
for the most average quarterback in history.
They just paid $73 million to one of the linemen, didn't they?
Yeah, but don't worry.
You know
They got a number.
Well, they're probably
number
still
1
playing
option in
Nate.
Darren Waller now, so like he's definitely going to throw for.
No Waller slander either on this show.
No, none. Well, my favorite part.
Well, it's tough to slander a guy that's not going to be in the lineup half the year.
That's true.
Favorite part of this whole circumstance is that Saquon Barkley went on a podcast and said, "I deserve to be paid like one of the best running backs in the league. You got paid less than Tony Pollard."
Yikes.
I mean, hey, if you're the Giants, you got to be thrilled. If you're the Giants, you're thrilled.
I mean,
Absolutely.
you crossed the line for $900,000. You're a fucking asshole. Man. You're a fucking asshole.
Also, it's completely
a
fair
fraud.
to slander Darren Waller.
A big.
Sorry,
I mean, the F word is a little strong, but
it's completely fine to slander Darren Waller because he married Kelsey Plum, and so is he. He's the one that's really winning in life.
There we go.
Well,
he doesn't care.
Well,
about
they're probably still paying fucking Nate Solder, and he hasn't played in near a fucking decade. So,
yikes. Brock Purdy's also
Shepard's
ready.
still on the Giants.
Yeah,
nobody cares. He is.
Brock Purdy started.
Darius Slayton still there.
Purdy's still there. Sterling Shepard's still there.
I can't wait to look at that
Sterling
Giants
Shepard's
waiver wire
hamstrings.
all year long.
Pretty.
Let's go to one of our top stories for the NFL segment. That's right. It's DeAndre Hopkins. He goes where all receivers go to die to Tennessee. And it started off with Julio Jones. It moves on to Robert Woods. Now it's Alexa, apparently. It's now DeAndre Hopkins. So, okay, guys, let's have at this. DeAndre Hopkins joins Tennessee. And their current wide receiver core consists at the top, Hopkins, Burks, Westbrook, whatever. Do you guys have any thoughts on Julio? Great. DeAndre Hopkins going to Tennessee, and does that move the needle for Tennessee in the front of the AFC South?
No.
Get a new agent.
Because by week 4, Will Levis is going to be starting.
Oh, my God.
That took them from 7 wins to 7 wins.
Yeah, in fact.
I'll be honest. I don't even think Hopkins is going to lead the team in receiving this year because he's not going to play the full season, and I think that Burks will have a pretty good year. So,
if you're drafting in fantasy, are you still drafting Burks as a number 1?
Well, no, because I can probably get Burks way later, and I don't have to take Hopkins when I can take like quality wide receivers who aren't hurt all the time. Like, I would imagine that D-Hop right now is going in the 3rd round, 2nd round.
Yeah, probably.
Like, because he's such a big name.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be looking at names like T. Higgins, maybe Jalen Waddle, and you're going to be like, yeah, I'm going to draft D-Hop. No chance. No chance am I getting a part of that with Tannehill and Levis on a team that's probably not trying to win.
My thing is, Ernest, does D-Hop make up for 61 points? That was their point differential last year. Minus 61.
Wow.
Does he make up 61 points?
Well, he might, only because they didn't even have Julio last year.
Hold on. I'm gonna challenge that real quick. Keep asking that question over and over until I have the answer.
I mean, does he really make that up? He was suspended last year, right? For PEDs. Correct?
He played well when Kyler was healthy and he was in the lineup. But again, how many games is he going to play?
Yeah,
right.
I was going to say.
So no, he doesn't make up 60 points. Historically, probably make up 35, 28 to 35 points.
He probably accounts for 5 more touchdowns in that offense.
So what's
maybe
that
1 or 2 wins? I think it moves the needle 1 or 2 wins for me. Yeah,
Two?
top
Okay,
two.
Yeah, but where were they at before that? Like, what did you?
I mean, they were a 9-win team, right?
I mean, they won 7 last year.
There's no way.
They won 7 last year.
Weren't they like 9
games?
Weren't they at 7-2 last year before they lost the rest of them or something crazy
they
like
lost
that?
7 in a row.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Mike Vrabel is still the head coach. It's still a run-first offense. So DeAndre just going to get lost in the shuffle.
We don't think the Titans are good, do we?
What's the over-under on Titans wins right now in Vegas?
Fast. I mean...
Like, Vrabel's great, but that is not a good roster.
It's a terrible roster. But they're still going to run Derrick Henry to the ground because it's the last year Derrick Henry's on Titan.
They have a bad O-line, and they cut Taylor Lewan because they didn't want him getting hurt again and paying him for it. They still, even if D-Hop plays a full season, you still have a pretty mid Tannehill that will maybe get replaced if Levis looks competent in training camp. That's not a great defense.
Well,
it's an okay defense.
You've drafted terribly. You wanted Malik Willis. You tried him out for a couple games.
He was so
then
bad.
Scrap him. We'll draft Will Levis. And they've drafted terribly. They haven't signed anybody in free agency besides D-Hop. The offensive line is old. Derrick Henry, whatever you want to say, has the worst mileage of a running back in the NFL. Like, and he's already had foot surgery. He's already had knee surgery. Like, what are we talking about here?
Like I don't even
They're
think
not
they
a young
sniff.
team.
I don't think that they sniff above 500.
Hell no.
I really even in that division, you're probably losing both to Jacksonville now. You're probably losing one of those Indy or Houston games because they have young QBs and they'll figure out a way to win. I don't know who they play in the NFC. Like, maybe if they get the South as their
They got
division.
the South this year. They got the South.
But even then, you have the Saints are a tough game.
I think they win 9.
Just adding one more.
That division was 9-8 last year. Won that division.
Yeah.
So
I think they win 9. I don't think they win the division, but I think they win 9.
Well, yeah, Jacksonville will probably win 11 or 12 in that division.
Yeah.
But that's not a playoff team that they have there.
I don't think
that
they're
we're
gonna be
giving
good.
Vrabel a ton of credit, and I think he deserves it because he's been such a good coach. But I just don't think that the roster's there. I don't think that they made any improvements. Like, if we're clinging on to D-Hop, changing that offense a bit, then I think
for me, if D-Hop stays healthy, right, and he doesn't get any trouble, and he plays a full season, 80 catches, 900 yards.
But how happy is he going to be in a run-first offense when he has historically been in throw-first offenses, where they're like looking to throw him the ball 12 to 14 times a game? Like, is Tennessee actually going to do that?
Ryan Tannehill averages 30 passes a game.
It's so tough because the only person coming out in the playoffs is the division winner. So is D-Hop enough to make a division winner? And I don't think
but if it was your bet in Vegas, it'd get you some money for sure.
No, if with Calvin Ridley coming to Jacksonville, that's just another wide receiver.
Yeah.
ready to roll. So I think
Right.
T-Law has it on lockdown this year.
They're not sniffing the division title, and then 9-8 probably isn't getting you in with how many good teams in the AFC there are.
No.
And to be honest,
is very true.
I don't think that they're even going to be competing for a playoff spot come week 16.
Yeah.
And then at that point, you're probably just like, whatever, we're going to throw in Levis for the last couple games. And that's why I can't see them getting above 500, because I think they'll be like 6-8, 7-8. But they know that they're out, and they're like, why are we starting Tannehill anymore? Let's see what Levis looks like. Levis probably isn't winning games.
Yep.
They'll be like Pittsburgh last year when they rolled with Trubisky for so long. And then they put Pickett in to just end the year.
I'm not as down on the Titans as you guys are roster-wise, and I also don't think that I hate saying this because I don't like defending Aggies, but Tannehill, you guys are really underrating Tannehill to me. I think he's proven if he can be a game manager.
Okay.
On a playoff team.
But a game manager in the AFC? A game manager in the AFC?
I'm not saying they're going to make a deep run in the playoffs, but I do think they win 9 or 10. I actually think they're going to be a decent team. Like, I don't think they're going to be terrible.
If this is the mountain, you're going to stake your claim on this year.
I am because...
So, Mark, clip this, okay?
Okay. So is this your bad team that could finish above 500? Because I think we should all have one team that we're going to go out on a limb for to finish above 500. So this is yours. You're taking the Titans?
Yeah, there's a lot of I want to choose the Texans at this point, but no, I'm not gonna do that, right? Because I actually, in the next argument, I'm gonna stake my claim on that team, which is our main.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
So let's transition from that.
That's a good transition.
Because it goes back to our poll, right? The NFC North is today's discussion, and our Twitter X poll.
I know
we had a
who
poll
you're
go
gonna
up,
say. This is gonna make me so mad.
and this is gonna be my favorite discussion of the night. We asked you guys to vote on who you guys believe is gonna be the NFC North champion, and by a pretty commanding lead, the Lions. 54% say the Lions are gonna be the champion of the NFC North this year. And I am not on that ship.
Okay, so who is it? We already know who it is.
Before we go into this, the NFC North, right? Let's take a status on these teams, okay? Vikings lost Dalvin Cook, right? They won 11 games by one score or less last season, right?
Oh my God,
they're going to teeter down, all right? The Packers have lost Aaron Rodgers. They lost Alan Lazard. They're going to run with Jordan Love. It's going to take some time. All right. The Lions lost Jamal Williams, so the short game touchdowns, right? Gambling issues. Jameson Williams is suspended, right? They have a high upside. They got a great defense forming.
Miss Swifty.
He's so
the only team that makes sense to me is the Chicago Bears. It's the Chicago Bears. The Bears will win the division this year. The Bears added DJ Moore. They got a stud in Roshan Johnson from the University of Texas. Chase Claypool will show up, and then Justin Fields takes the leap. I think the Bears are the team that people are sleeping on. They're not in hibernation anymore, guys. Like, let's just take the pun and use it. The Bears will win the NFC North.
I'm going to let you guys go first.
They gave up 60 sacks last year, Ernest.
I didn't even mention they signed Cole Kmet to a 4-year, $50 million deal today.
You're just trolling at this point. You're absolutely just trolling at this point because you can't believe this. There's no way you truly
what are we
believe
doing?
it.
I will say this. All right. The Chicago Bears will win this division with like a 9-8 record. The NFC North is going to be trash this year.
Correct.
Like they are not going to be a good division.
Not good.
Like, we all can agree to that, right? It is hard to win at Soldier Field, and it is hard to beat a team that can control the ball on the ground if Fields actually takes a lead.
Holy shit.
Okay.
There is a world where the Bears win this division.
Okay, here's the
thing. Yeah.
I do think the ship has sailed on the Vikings. I think that when you win
and the
as
Packers.
many close games as you did last year, and then you lose Dalvin, you lose Thielen, you replace them with a rookie. I know that Madison is basically just Dalvin, but that's still a pretty big loss in your offense. Winning all those tight games, and that defense is still horrific. Yeah, I don't think that the Vikings are going to win the division.
Great.
The Packers, I mean, I think Jordan Love sucks. I know that some people are like clinging on to him maybe potentially being a starter in the league, and I just don't think that he's there. To me, it's clear-cut Detroit. And that's crazy because it's the Lions. But they made the defense improvements. Yes, they lost Jamal Williams, but then they also drafted Gibbs. And they brought in Demont. So, like, their backfield is fine. And you have Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like, I think that that's a pretty good Lions offense. And Jared Goff, if we're going to talk about Tannehill being underrated, Jared Goff's pretty underrated. If you look at his numbers last year, he had a fantastic season. He threw for like 4,700 yards, only threw like 7 or 8 picks and like 37 touchdowns. But we didn't talk about him like all year.
Okay, hold on. Okay, before we get too far away from this, right? Because we're gonna talk about the Bears no matter what. Like it's gonna happen.
How are we far away from it? We're still in the north.
Let's listen. Okay, before I stray away too far from my point. Okay, I just want you to tell me if it's a win or a loss. I'm gonna go through the schedule. Okay, and you're gonna just give me the number. Just give me the number. You can tell me it's 4. I don't care. Just give me the number. Okay. Here, I'm gonna go through the schedule. They open up at Soldier Field against the Packers. Is that a win or a loss for the Bears?
Win.
Yeah, they'll win
that's
that
one. Londo, just say 1 or 2 after we get a win, okay?
All right.
So what number are we at, Londo?
1.
Good. They play the Buccaneers at home.
Loss.
No, they win that. They
win
Baker.
that game. Yeah, they win that game. So Londo, where are we at?
Mike Evans and Chris Godwin still. So
they're gonna go to Arrowhead week 3. I know that's a toss up for most people.
That's not.
I'm just kidding. Luke, before you get triggered, okay?
I'm going to bet the Chiefs minus 20.5.
Good, you should. They should get blown out. They're not as good as the Chiefs. So they're 2-1 right now, going to week 4, and then they're going to go back home and they're going to play the Broncos.
Loss.
Broncos win.
No, I disagree.
Sean Payton's
they beat the
different team, bro. Way different team.
That's okay. You know what? I'll give you that game. But you got to give me one in the future. Okay. So they're 2-2. Now the Bears go to Washington.
They win.
They win that one.
The worst team in the league.
They are now. So now what are we at, Londo?
We're 3-2.
We're 3-2. Then the Vikings go to Chicago.
Loss.
I think they split the series. You got to give me that one.
Yeah, I'll give you that one because they're
okay.
So 4-2.
So we're 4-2. The Raiders come to Chicago.
They win.
Should beat them.
They are 5-2. They go to Los Angeles Chargers. They're going to lose that game. They're 6-3.
No, 5.
Then they go to 5-3. They go to New Orleans.
They lose.
Probably lose that game.
Winning in New Orleans is hard.
And then Carolina comes to Chicago.
Carolina
wins.
I disagree with that one, but I'll give that to you. 5-5.
5-5.
Then they go to Detroit. They lose that game. They go to Minnesota and lose that game. They're 5-7.
5-7.
Then Detroit comes to Chicago.
Detroit wins.
Probably win at home.
Detroit wins.
Detroit's
then
gonna sweep them.
Then they play the Browns.
What are the Browns? You know what I mean? Like that's such a tough team.
So let's
Are
say
they
that's a
playing
toss
in
up.
Cleveland? Are they playing in
They're
Cleveland?
playing in Cleveland.
Loss.
Cleveland
wins.
All right. So now they're what? 5-9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
They
said 9
finished
and 8,
the year.
so you already lost.
I already lost. Yeah. But that's because a couple games I swung the other way. But the Cardinals they beat. The Cardinals they beat. The Falcons they beat. And then they play the Packers to end the year.
See, and I think that they can lose that Falcons game. So even if I give you Carolina that they win, I think that Atlanta can beat them. So I think they split those.
At most, you're 8-9. I'm 9-8. Like it's one game.
Yeah, but I don't think that
Maybe 2.
I think that Detroit goes 10-7.
Okay, well that's a whole different conversation. I'm just telling you right now they'd win the division at 9-8.
But what
you asked me to swing for the fence on somebody over 500. I'm telling you, Chicago's going to swing over the fence.
But what I'm saying is, okay, so if they're 9-8, you think that Detroit is an 8-9 team with the improvements that they made? Were they not 8-9 last year?
Well, I mean, with suspensions and stuff, I've got to see. Hold on, give me 1 second.
Why are we acting like Jameson Williams is like T. Higgins? Like he barely did anything.
Crazy.
In that
the guy
offense.
took every 1 yard handoff and got touchdowns. Congratulations.
No, that's
You're talking about Jamal Williams.
We're talking about
Jamal
But
Williams. Sorry,
that's
Jameson Williams.
to me, that's a big loss. I think Jamal Williams is a big loss to me.
Yeah, but when you lose
He averaged
Swift
3
and
yards a
Williams and
carry.
you replace them with Demont and Gibbs, then I don't think that you've lost anything. I think that you are completely where you were.
So
Demont
okay, we're gonna if we're gonna go through the Lions schedule, we might as well just hammer through it. Lions Chiefs, they lose.
Yeah.
Lions Seahawks at Detroit.
Win.
1-1.
1-1. Lions Falcons in Detroit.
Win.
Lions.
Lions, yeah.
2-1. Lions Packers in Green Bay.
Lions.
2-2. They'll
Okay,
drop a
Lions,
weird division game.
Yeah, Lions Panthers at home.
Lions win.
3-2. Lions Buccaneers at Tampa Bay.
Win.
Lions.
4-2. Lions and Ravens in Baltimore.
Baltimore.
4-3. Lions Raiders at home. I'm going to give it to the Lions. 5-3. Lions Chargers at home.
5-4.
Lions
They
Bears.
lose.
You already said it was Lions. So 6-4. Lions Packers in Detroit.
They win 7-4.
7-4. Saints Lions in New Orleans.
New Orleans
7-5.
wins.
7-5.
7-5. Bears Lions. You've already given it to them. So 8-5. Lions Denver in Detroit.
In Detroit, 9-5.
9-5. Vikings Lions in Minnesota.
They lose.
9-6. Dallas Detroit and Dallas.
They'll win. They'll win one of those.
Dallas.
They're
They
9.
got
So they're what are they? 9 and 7.
7, yeah.
9 and
So
7.
then they end the year Detroit and Minnesota.
They win.
They'll
So
probably
they
win that
finish
one.
10-7.
10-7.
So 10-7 is where you have Detroit. So it's
And
a
I don't
one-game
even think
difference.
that was crazy unrealistic either. Like, we gave Dallas, we gave, like, plenty of losses
You're right.
along the way.
If Dallas hasn't already clinched and they're playing people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, and the thing is, Dallas isn't going to have clinched. They're going to be the 5 seed, and they know it because Philly's the best team in the NFC. But either way, Detroit is still a very good team that's improved. Defensively, that's where they had to improve, and I think that they did. So I think the offense is just going to be the same.
Is anybody not on the Detroit-Chicago train? Is anybody choosing Minnesota or Green Bay on this panel?
Listen, I want turmoil. So this would be, I would love to watch Detroit just fucking melt to the ground this year. Just because what would be the most Detroit Lions thing to do is to build everything up and just watch it collapse in front of your face.
It would be very Browns, I think.
It would.
Like,
Yeah.
everyone hyped up that, when Deshaun comes back, and then he was horrible when he came back, and they're like, oh, wait, we stink. It's like, yeah. I think everybody thought that you were going to stink, except you. And
Kareem
Coach
Hunt is
Keenum.
still a free agent. That's bananas.
I mean, every
Andrew,
running back is still
Andrew,
a
who
free
do you have?
agent.
Who do you have in this division, Andrew?
I'm rolling with Detroit. I mean, it would, and I agree with you. It would be a very Detroit thing for them to fall off the map. But I really saw a consistent Jared Goff. I saw a healthy Jared Goff. I saw Dan Campbell be a great coach, and I think that's what that organization needs. Losing the 16 touchdowns that you got out of your running back is big, but let's not act like Gibbs couldn't do the same thing. Montgomery can average 3 yards a carry too. So their offense is good. Cleve Raymond is a little X factor for me in that offense. When he came into the fold last year, he was pretty good, taking punt returns. Williams gets back. Yeah, I just think Green Bay's a 4-win team. They're fucking terrible. Definitely their division to lose. I don't know. Minnesota still has Double J. They have Jay Jetta, who is a great. He's the best wide receiver in the game.
Every single play without.
So before we
I feel
end
so
it,
bad for him.
I want to give you 3 shots at guessing the backups for the Green Bay Packers.
Okay, wait. Backup
Backups on what position?
The quarterbacks.
Oh God.
Well, you got Love starting.
Yep.
Brett Hundley.
Brett Hundley.
Nope.
Damn it. Who else did they have that's terrible? Tyrod Taylor.
Nope.
I would never guess any of these. So
Yep.
It's
Who the hell are they?
It's bad.
Sean Clifford.
Sean Clifford, Danny Etling, and Alex McGuff.
They're so fucked, dude.
And Jordan Love to start week
You know
one.
who I don't feel bad for?
Thanks.
I don't
Karen
feel
Jones.
bad for fucking Packers fans. For like 20 years, they've had consistent quarterbacks.
It's the same thing with the. It's the same thing
Hey,
with the
Mark,
Patriots.
clip that and send it to my wife. Do it. Andrew
It's
will
the same thing with
never
the
be welcome
Patriots.
in my house again.
I'm never gonna be allowed in the fucking house again, so that's great.
Yep. Same thing with the Patriots,
I love
man.
it.
20 years and you're losing. I don't give a.
Yeah,
Now they've
yeah.
had 3 mediocre years of Mac fucking Jones.
Hey, Mark, don't clip
Mac
this.
Jones.
I hope that the Packers really fucking suck this year. I really.
That for sure.
Wow.
That's a marital
Please
dispute.
clip
There it
it.
is.
Please clip it so I can just
I-
have
I'm
it.
glad that's recorded.
I
Find you a
hope
lawyer.
that they absolutely stink. They win 3 football games, and then they're probably just going to go and draft like a wide receiver. They're going to draft Marvin Harrison Jr. just
Yeah.
because.
Draft a lineman.
Yeah.
That's perfect. I
And
will
Aaron's
say
gonna be
this.
like, what the
That
fuck?
would be the ultimate middle finger. Aaron Rodgers has a bad year with the Jets, and then suddenly the Packers go out and draft Marvin Harrison Jr. and he just flips him the bird. Give me that.
That's wonderful.
Clip it, ship it, send it to the wife. I'll sleep on the couch. I want this to happen.
So happy for you, Kenny. You're going to
Talk
enjoy that.
myself into it.
Wow.
That is today's episode. I will say, Kenny, everybody, I want to ask division winners. If you had to put a parlay for division winners today, if you had to pick them, you have the Lions. Who do you have in the East, Kenny? I think you said Eagles. Who else do you have in the East? I'm sorry,
I
the
mean,
West.
I can already tell you my division winner parlay because I've already placed it.
Yeah. Tell us what it is. Shoot it.
So Buffalo's winning their division. Don't
No,
let
I just
the
want
Miami
NFC, Kenny. Just NFC.
No. We're doing it all. We'll just get it all out of the way.
My gosh.
I'm the co-host. I get some say over this. San Fran's winning their division. The Saints are winning theirs. The Lions are winning theirs. The Eagles are winning theirs. The Chargers are winning their division. I'm trying to think which division I'm missing. Jags, Bengals, Bills. Kellen Moore comes into the Chargers. Wow. They turn around the offense and they upset the Chiefs. They'll go like 12-5, and the Chiefs will go 11-6.
That's a big one.
They're
Good
plus
job, Kenny.
440,
Thank you for
so
all
of
of
course
that.
it's a big one.
Andrew, give me your NFC division winners.
Give me the
Yeah,
AFC
well, I'm gonna
too.
roll with the Lions. I still think the Eagles are probably going to take this division, but the Cowboy and me, I'm going to roll with the Cowboys.
Gross.
The
Yeah.
NFC East, just because I think that Brandon Cooks edition is a lot better than them losing Miles Sanders. I don't know.
Give me a hell yeah!
Sorry.
That's my picks in the NFC.
Gross.
I missed your last one. What's your last one?
I mean, no one's not taking San Fran, right?
Lions.
Oh, I'm taking San Fran. Yeah, that roster's still a unit.
All right,
that
who do you have,
defense
Luke?
is probably the best in the NFL.
Eagles. Even though I just shit on them. Lions. Ooh. Man,
The
this
North
South is so
the South
fucking
is a
bad.
crapshoot.
It's such
This
a crapshoot, dude.
Fucking bad.
The South.
It's funny because we're putting faith in Derek Carr because he's facing
Please.
Baker, Desmond Ridder.
You know what? Fuck it. I'll do it. I'll roll dice. I'll go with the Saints then.
Yeah.
And I mean, he has Chris Olave and Michael Thomas if he actually plays. So I mean, fuck it.
And that gangbanger in the background.
Yeah, 49ers, and we're good.
Am I allowed to revise my Saints pick when Alvin Kamara gets suspended for 19 games?
Yes.
It was self-imposed. He's fine.
Okay.
Good. He just wanted to quit
He's
playing.
he's reformed, is what I've heard. Went to church.
Yo,
twice.
yeah,
He feels
yeah.
great.
He got the right, so now he's got the left. We're good.
I absolutely am going Cowboys, Bears, Falcons, and Niners. That's my
By the
pick.
sounds of it, that guy got both
Falcons.
rights and lefts from Kamara. at that
Desmond
point.
that-
Ridder, you have winning the division. Hey,
Wait, is that
Hey.
Miles Bluequist?
I am riding Falcons this year.
No, he's not.
Another big
No,
pick.
he's not wasted on stream. But no, I actually do think that the Falcons is a good long shot.
tell
Thank
me I'm
you.
wrong.
I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
Cotterill.
With that being said, that's tonight's episode. Tell everybody where they can find you. Just Luke.
Well, first of all, Ernest, I'm glad to be back talking sports with all y'all. Feels good. I can't wait for, even if it was preseason, I can't wait for preseason. Two things. One, there is always somebody to talk to. You can go to Google. Help is always available in the United States. You can't see it because my thing's blurred out. But there is a helpline for suicide hotline. In America, it is called 988. You can go on their website. There is a chat. There is an SMS text alert. There's an official website. there's always someone to talk to about suicide. So reach out to friends, family, anybody. I'm the big advocate for suicide awareness. So always reach out.
You just, Luke, I always love that plug. Everybody knows you have somebody out there for you. Andrew Con Sutton, tell the people where they can find you.
Hey, bet you guys can find me at the Boomtown Pod on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. We haven't really been active all of that much lately this summer. Like I said, this kind of got away from us. There is a great card, though, this weekend where I'm going to be throwing down some goddamn money and some picks. You can obviously pay attention to our Facebook. That's pretty much our main area right now. This week's card is unbelievable, guys. Start to finish. Kevin Holland, Michael Chiesa, that's a banger. Tony Ferguson, Bobby Green, banger. Stephen Thompson, Michael Piera, banger. Jan Blachowicz, Alex Piera, 2 division champions, banger. And then we have the BMF belt on display in the main event where we got Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje, which is going to be electric. So
I can't wait.
I will be dialed in to that fight, and I will be dialed into that card, and we got some picks for you guys. Follow us, Boomtown Pod. This year, so far on major cards, we are 45-10. Pretty damn good.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That's great.
The Boomtown Pod. Miss talking to you.
God?
Absolutely. Glad to have you back.
God, is that you? Oh, no, it's Londo.
Yeah.
God.
Absolutely. Special thanks to Londo and, of course, the co-host of ITL for Season 5, Kenny Cotterill.
I mean, Andrew's picks aren't that fucking great. He sent me the 10 losers all goddamn year. So that's pretty tough when he's won 45, but he sent you the 10. I have nothing to plug.
We did win, though. Let's not forget the last card. We did win.
Well, I mean, I won money in Vegas while I was watching that fight live at Stadium Circus Swim, but no big deal. I just had a great fucking time hitting a plus 1,600. No big deal.
He goes to Vegas one time.
I know.
Guy goes to Vegas every year because he's a high roller. I lost all my money.
Whoa.
August 9th, returning, I think, for the show. I honestly don't know. I'm kind of enjoying not podcasting, but I figured I'm a co-host, so I should probably be here. I'm tired of being on airplanes. I've been on 17 airplanes in like the last 3 months. I'm over it. I want to be home. Thank you for having me.
Of course, you get some rest, Kenny. You're already in bed, so I appreciate you being on the show.
I mean, I'm not going to sleep anytime soon, but yeah.
No.
It's in Vegas.
Making sure. Of course, I was your host, Ernest Aki Silva. Excited to be back, guys. ITL Season 5, Episodes 1 and 2 recorded tonight. Catch the podcast release tomorrow and Saturday, and we'll be back next Wednesday live. Appreciate all of your following and all of your support. You can always go to our link tree on our Twitter page and donate to the show if you'd like. And of course, if you want to be on it, you'll catch our new segments the next few weeks, and we get right into Pick'em in September. Glad to be back, you guys. You guys have a great week and enjoy training camps. Bye.